And we are live, guys. Welcome to another live stream from the Women of High Value channel. My name is Joseph Darling. Today we will do a part 3 of Masculine Revival's Instagram account, and we're just going through the last few posts that he's made. There's so much that is packed in this video, so let's get right into it. Last time we only had time for one of the posts. We're gonna get time for 2 of the posts today. And those posts are as follows: happy life, happy wife. Interesting. And the last post that he put out is, you don't need to be flawless to get married. So let's figure out what my viewpoints are on those. Let's start with happy life, happy wife. Now, most of us have heard that saying, happy wife, happy life. And I even used that term multiple times in my life, even on stage. Like one time I was on stage and, we were celebrating that we had accomplished something. And, the one thing that I said was happy wife, happy life. And that was my understanding at that point in time. Now, things have changed since then and we've discovered a bit more, but let's go through this post and then I'll explain underway. Masculine Revival: leading a purposeful, fulfilling, and well-rounded life as a man is far more likely to result in her happiness than making her happiness your sole focus in life. Is that correct? Well, it's definitely better than making her happiness your sole focus in life. So interesting, isn't it? You'd think, when people talk about that, both parties in a marriage should give 100%. They say it's 50-50. Some people say, no, you need to give 100%. What does that even mean? Like, does that not mean that I'm supposed to give, to actually focus on making my woman happy? Like, the very fact that I'm, 100% committed to this relationship in many ways shows that I want her to be happy, right? It's so strange. It's so warped. It's like, what's the deal? You see, this relationship stuff is kind of tricky. That's why I recommend guys to, to procrastinate this for as long as possible until they understand this female nature thing, because it's a bit more tricky than they think. And that's why on the Men of High Value channel, I speak about leading women and leading kids as phase 4 and 5 on the 5 phases of leadership. It's tricky. Now, where does that put women? It's kind of like, if we say that we procrastinate women as long as possible, isn't that a negative thing for women because they have to wait for us the whole time? Like, it's going to take forever until there's men that are ready to commit to us for life. Well, yeah, it's going to take some time. Most men are not ready. Most men have not built a strong foundation. Most men don't understand female nature. I think it's a horrible thing for men to enter into a relationship to try to figure out female nature, at least today. Okay, back in the day, there was no information. Back then, it was trial and failure, try and error continuously all of the time for the last thousands of years. Now we've come to a point in history where internet has made it available. Female nature is available. And now you've got this channel, which is one of a kind. You're not going to find this information anywhere else in terms of how it works in a relationship. Now that you have this information, procrastinate. Okay, I tell guys to procrastinate women for as long as possible so that they can understand the information properly, so that they can apply it once they're in a relationship. So, getting back to that post, Elliot Hulse, or Hulse, I don't know how you spell it, but anyway, he's a huge internet guru these days, and even he loves this post, So, there's got to be something to it, right? Okay, so people say, on point. Happy spouse, happy house. Okay, well, actually, let's go through the post first. Don't trade in the literal things that attracted her to you in the first place and then wonder why things went wrong. Come on, bro. Okay, so what is it that attracts a woman in the first place? Do we know what those things are? Well, it's very often a man's options. that actually attracts a woman in the first place. Well, and also the fact that he's going on his purpose. He's going somewhere. He has places to go. He has things to do. He has people to meet. He's not available for her all of the time. He's scarce. Scarcity, supply and demand. If you understand supply and demand, a man needs to be scarce. Okay? So low availability, difficult to get a hold of him, and then sometimes you get a hold of him, and the times when you do get a hold of him, it's amazing to be around him, right? Isn't that how women really want it? They want him to be scarce, okay? Low supply, high demand. That's what we're trying to create. The more we can create that type of scenario, the happier a woman is going to be. If the man has massive amounts of supply of him, of himself, yuck. It's disgusting. He shouldn't be that much around. The fact that he is continuously available and continuously is trying to solve her problem, in other words, trying to make her happy, okay, continuously, all of the time. He's always there. Is there anything I can do for you? I'm going to do it, blah, blah, blah. And he keeps going back and forth. That's going to turn her off on a grand scale. Because she needs low supply, high demand. Well, where does the demand come in? Well, it comes in as a result of the low supply, and that low supply actually being of value. Meaning, so the times that she does spend with him is extremely amazing. That's when the scarcity is, and the demand actually pumps up, because the more amazing that time with her is, the more demand it is when that person's gone, right? So that's what's happening in the beginning of a relationship very often, is that you've got that supply and demand dynamic working out pretty good. And so, yeah, and guys maybe look good, and then once they're in the relationship, very often they let themselves go because there's no really goal orientation anymore. So both let themselves go, and then there's, continual issues as a result of that. But yeah, is that the only thing that goes wrong when the attraction, like, what is it that causes the attraction for the woman to go down? Well, it's the increase in supply of the man, right? Because she always wants to spend time with him. So she's very often self-sabotaging herself when she says, please spend time with me. I want you to be here with me. I want you blah, blah, blah. Then the man is like, well, I'm out there being rejected, which is what a man should be doing, by the way. He should be out there trying to make money continuously all of the time, okay? Make deals, create business, build his network, etc., etc. So that's what he should be doing, but that stuff's hard, okay? Being at home with a cute girl that he likes, that he's attracted to, that's easy. In fact, it's very comforting, and it takes away his anxiousness, and it takes away all the, this is in the beginning of the relationship. Over time, what happens is that he has a horrible time out there, very often, because it's difficult. It's not that it's hard, but it's just like, it becomes hard over time when you come home, and then it's also hard at home. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, if men were allowed to go out there and be out there the vast majority of the time, they'd actually get more success and more momentum going, so that they'll be happier to do that thing instead of just having a job and hitting their head against the wall of being an employee. When a man is actually out there and trying to create something and building businesses, he has breakthroughs on a continual basis. At least that's the theory behind it. But then he comes home and he gets nagged at and he gets beat up by his wife. Eventually, and that happens because of no attraction, because she doesn't see results. And the reason she doesn't see results is because, one, she's not attracted to him anymore, so he doesn't really have a reason to really go in his business. He's very often scared of taking risks, so he's basically stuck in this employee mindset because, she needs money, she needs a certain lifestyle, keeping up with the Joneses. This is kind of the crappy environment that happens to 80 to 95% of people in monogamy. Yes, can you be part of the 5 to 20% that actually kind of has a different scenario where the man actually is an entrepreneur and you actually manage to procrastinate kids for a long period of time and actually make things work? You could, but the probabilities are not on your side, and eventually it's going to catch up with you anyway. The problems of monogamy are going to catch up with you. And it's not going to be consistent joy, bliss, and happiness throughout the rest of your life, although it could have been if you actually follow the things that are on this channel. So, anyway, what is it really that he doesn't have the ability to do anymore? Well, he's got commitment, okay? The fact that he's massively committed for life, which a man should do, right? A high-value man never sleeps with anyone that he's not committed to for life. Okay, well, but once he commits in a monogamous relationship to his woman, he alienates all other options. He cuts off all other options because he's made a decision. This is the woman that I'm going to be with. And as a result, she loses attraction consistently and continuously and exponentially over time, which is really sad. But that's every single monogamous relationship. Well, isn't there something we can do to spark the fire a little bit? Yeah, well, good luck with that. It's going to be a very interesting ride trying to do that. And that's not a positive interesting. Let's get going. We have massive solutions. It's so interesting. Sometimes I find myself like, I'm positive in every single other aspect of my life. And then I come on this channel and then I begin to look at monogamy and I'm just like, man, what a sad picture. Like if people understood. And the thing is that the people that are married do understand, especially if they've got kids or if they're, have other issues and problems in their relationship. But I think also couples that don't have kids have the exact same problems, but not as bad. So it becomes like a deceiving type of thing. Like you're deceived to believe that you're actually as happy as you can be, if that makes sense. Like it's kind of like you're comfortable. It's kind of like being middle class. You're not living to the fullest part of your potential, but it's okay. And that's how monogamy as a rule is. It's either okay or it literally sucks. Like it sucks so bad that, I want out type thing. Okay? So, and this is kind of how it looks like. And then there are few and far between times where you're just like, wow, my life is amazing. I feel really good today, and blah, 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 blah. Those do happen, but it's not consistent. Like, I want to be in that setting consistently all of the time. And that's actually possible if you follow the things that are on this channel. At least that's what we believe in. So, and that should give you hope. Like, the very fact that this is what's happening today. This is how monogamy is. This is how marriage works. This is how long-term relationships function. To know that there is an alternative that could actually allow you to be in love all of the time, like in love, not just love each other, the hard work love that relationship experts talk about, like literally love and be in love with each other forever, okay? Where a relationship where the woman, by default, actually has her eyes half shut to the man's issues and problems and imperfections. Like that's an amazing thing if that actually was possible. And it is. Like we have it right here, folks. Like this channel. This is probably the most important channel you've ever found in your entire life, and that's according to my biased opinion. But seriously, wow. Okay. How do you expect her to trust you when you willingly compromise on your hobbies, interests, friends, and sense of direction in life in a desperate attempt to make her happy? So this is what this paragraph tells me. Okay, we've got a wife here. She has issues in her life because she has to work on her own happiness. Okay? I can't stand it when Will Smith goes out and he says, oh, we should have both our happiness. I work on my happiness and she works on her happiness and then we come together as two happy people. Really? Have you seen happy women in monogamy that are continuously and consistently happy? It doesn't very often happen. And if it does, it's because of like very specific things that are in her life, like a huge female friendship network with a few inner circle friends that believe the exact same things as her, and they go in the exact same direction, and she gets so much fulfillment from it, and she never has to, like, she doesn't feel like she needs him around all of the time. And like, there's very specific emotional needs that need to be fulfilled that are extremely difficult to fulfill in monogamy. Some people manage to do it half-heartedly, so they're comfortable. It's not amazing, but they're comfortable. Anyway, my point is, if she's kind of unhappy and she's not 100% fulfilled, then us talking about the man's hobbies and interests and friends, sense of direction, I understand. Like, a man needs to have a sense of direction to create an environment so that all of the people around him are happy. And especially the ones that he loves the most, which are his women, right? But his hobbies and interests and friends, like, for me, that's kind of warped. The fact that a man would be prioritizing his interests, hobbies, and friends while his woman or his women are unhappy or half-heartedly happy. Like, yes, like, screw them, because I got more important things to do, my friends, my hobbies, and my interests. And if I focus on my friends, my hobbies, and my interests, then my women are going to be happier. The fact that I neglect the aspect of them not being completely fulfilled. Like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, I commented on this actually in the comment section. There's many people saying happy spouse, happy house, meaning that we need to focus on both people being happy in the relationship, not just the woman, because that's very often what happens in monogamy, because she's the head of the household. Always. I made a video on that. But I wanted to share with you guys one quote that I had in here. Okay, there you go. As a woman, I totally agree. If my husband focused all in his energy on making me happy, I would feel like his happiness depends on me instead of on his own efforts. Not a burden I want to carry. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, so I agree with this one. So she agrees with him, with Brendan. And then she's basically saying, like, I'd rather him focus on his own happiness. Because if he focuses on me, then I need to make sure that I'm happy all the time, or else he's going to be unhappy. Like, you see? I get this one. Well, this is what I responded. Making you happy and creating the environment that makes you happy long term are two different things. Your immediate happiness is temporary and fleeting. Okay? So this is what is truly meant with this post. A woman's happiness is temporary and fleeting, which means that if a man is trying to chase that bunny, because that's what it is, the bunny of trying to make her happy, well, sometimes that bunny is over here, and he's like, okay, I gotta run over here. And then sometimes that bunny is over there, oh, I gotta run over here. And that bunny is there, and then he has to run back. And he's going back and forth, meaning he is powerless. You see what I'm saying? Like, he's running, he's chasing. That's not good. What's the best way to do about it? Well, attraction. You gotta attract her happiness. Okay? Which means, well, what does that mean? Well, if he can't be focusing on her immediate happiness, like right now. Now, he should focus on making tons of future immediate happinesses happen. This is why I say that women were designed to enjoy the now. Men were designed to make her now better, or their now better. Okay? Women designed to enjoy the now. That's their entire life purpose. The now. Not the past, not the present. Now. And men were designed to make the now better, which means that he needs to understand the past, the present, and the future. He's got a little bit bigger responsibility. And then he has to put a system in place so that all of her future happinesses, all of her future nows, make her happy. So instead of focusing on, almost like this is almost financial. Like, instead of focus on earned income, meaning like you have to go to work to make money. You come home, you got to go to work to make money. You come home, you got to go to work tomorrow to make money. It's earned income, right? It's required. Your time is required in order for you to make the value, make the money. And then you got something called passive income, which is something that you build once, you create a system, and that system works for you. It provides value for you whether you are there or not. This is how you need to look at monogamy and 3 in love as taught on this channel. Monogamy requires you to continuously do the earned income thing of continuously being there for your woman, being there for your kids a lot more than what you actually should be, in my opinion, or it's just like you're required in so many different aspects in monogamy as a man that it becomes very turn-off-ish, okay? Especially because of the supply and demand thing. The more a man is needed, like immediately, right now, like because, oh my gosh, this is too much to handle, the woman can't handle it by herself. This is why she goes to work, by the way, okay? Then the less attracted she's going to be by the abundance of supply, because he wants to help her out. He wants to make sure that she's not struggling and burdened and you know, like she's suffering, right? While the man is enjoying his interests and his hobbies and his friends. Like, this is so out there for me. Like, I can see that Brendan doesn't have kids just from the way that he writes. You get my drift? Like, when a woman is suffering with her kids that he's provided for her, that he gave her, that obviously, you know, you think that it's both of their fault, but if the man doesn't know that burden is going to make her life miserable, and then he's focused on his own happiness because that's going to make her happier, because that at least she'll be attracted to him, like, it's so warped and tricky and difficult and hard work. Like, I don't imagine love relationships, family relationships, relationship with your children to be hard work. It's not hard work if you understand how female nature works. You can make it work for you. Like, women can literally just live and just enjoy, while the man simply focuses on making sure that the system is working optimally. Okay, so anyway, I continued. I said, your immediate happiness is temporary and fleeting unless he has organized a system for you to be happy all of the time. Okay, and she responds, that's such a good point. Creating the environment that leads to my long-term happiness is what is valuable. 100%. What is that environment? It's an environment where she has 2 best friends living with her, sharing the man. That's the environment that a woman needs. Because she'll feel loved and accepted. She'll never be left behind. She can homeschool now. She can just live her life. She doesn't have to go through rejection. She literally is enjoying her life. They can choose to go to the park today. They can choose to go to, the entertainment center today. They can choose to go to the movies today. They can choose to stay home all day because it's cold outside. They can choose to go in nature. They can choose to go to the lake. They can choose to... Every single day is different if they wanted to. That's how 3 in Love creates an environment where her long-term happiness is taken care of on a constant, continual basis because it's set up the right way from the get-go. It's a passive income system in terms of happiness. Passive happiness system, if you will. Okay? Because the whole key around it, though, is that the women need to be it needs to be a harmonious union. But the only way that can happen is through the man understanding female nature and making sure that they're happy all of the time because of the system. And if they're not happy at any given point, now he can take care of business. Instead of her happiness being, or her unhappiness is being the vast majority of the time, let's say 80% of the time, she's just unhappy with how life is progressing. She sees her man's failures on a continual basis. This is monogamy. Instead of that, a woman can be happy 95% of the time, and then the man comes and rescues the situations the 5% of the time that she's unhappy, which is not very often. Do you get my drift? Okay, how do you expect her to trust you when you willingly compromise on your hobbies? Blah, blah, blah. We did that one. Okay, she's not the completion of your journey. She is a companion on your journey. She's a means to help you successfully reach the end, not the end in and of itself. Which end? What end are we talking about? Which end are you trying to successfully reach to? My personal end that I want to get to is I want to solve all world problems. Okay, that's a great end. But one of the ends that I also want is for a system to be working in our families' lives that allow my women to be happy all of the time and my kids to be happy all of the time, because blessed people bless other people. And that's how we, solve world problems, is that we need more families where people feel blessed so that they can go out and bless other people. But the fact of the matter is that monogamy these days, or warped monogamy, or serial monogamy, or whatever you want to call what's happening these days, is causing hurt people. And hurt people hurt people. So, no, a woman is never a completion of her journey. One woman. Even 3 women is not a completion of a man's journey. Like, life is a journey. It doesn't end before we die. And even after we die, there's more. Like, it's crazy. Okay, so definitely women are companions, of course. Of course, having a happy wife is important. But if you become a slave to her emotions, everyone loses. Okay, this one I completely 100% agree. You can't become a slave to her emotions. Because emotions, like the moment a man makes her emotions the master in the relationship, which is what happens in monogamy, in every single relationship in monogamy, the man literally has to work towards, like, his natural inclination is to help a suffering woman. So he literally has to work against his inclination to help a woman in need, a damsel in distress, and have to not care. Okay? I'm going to restrict myself and not care about my suffering woman so that she can be happy long term. How crazy is that? And yet that's what happens in monogamy. This is the stuff that a man needs to do in order for a woman to be happier than or less unhappy than unhappiest. Does that make sense? Like, a woman is unhappiest if a man is powerlessly, because he can't do it, her emotions are always going to win if he makes her emotions his master. Her emotions is saying this right now. Oh, I gotta run and do this. Her emotions are saying this right now. I gotta run and do this. Okay, that's a slave. That's a puppet. That's someone trying to chase the bunny, like I explained earlier. That's the unhappiest a woman will be. Okay, so a little bit less unhappy would be that the man doesn't care. He just focuses on not burdening her as much as possible, meaning, okay, I'm not going to give you a child number 2. I'm not going to give you child number 3 for sure. And the child number 4, forget it. Like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, the more children a man gives a woman, the more burden he provides. Okay? And it's his fault because he actually can control that. He can actually put his foot down and say, no, this is enough. We're not doing more. What might be the wise thing to do if she's burdened? See, I didn't know this stuff. I was just like, okay, let's get number 2 and let's get number 3. It's just like, why is no one telling me this stuff? No one knows this stuff. So I'm telling you this right now. As a man, this is kind of how it works in monogamy. You got to make sure you don't burden her, because the moment you burden her, she's going to suffer. Suffer. And then she's going to suffer more as a result of you choosing, okay, as a man, choosing not to focus on her although she needs you. It's sick. Monogamy. Women set the emotional tone in the home. When she can safely rest in your sense of direction, the emotional tone improves. When you make your entire sense of direction and purpose to make her happy, the emotional tone will continue to sour. It makes so much sense though, because think about it. Like, how on earth can he build something long-lasting? How on earth can he create passive income, build massive amounts of businesses, focus on what he needs to get done in terms of protection and provision, if he's continually focused on what's going on with her and the kids? Do you see how that is completely antithetical, is that the word, It's completely the opposite of him building a conglomerate. Do you get what I'm saying? So the goal for a man is to focus 95% of his time, or 90%, or 85%, if we're going to be nice, on his conglomerate, on building solutions for the world to become a better place. And yet, the vast majority of men who are trying to be good fathers and good husbands these days are so focused on trying to make their woman happy, so they're literally only working on one person's betterment of life, whose life gets worse as a natural result of him actually focusing on it, and she'll probably eventually divorce him. That happens a lot. And then she'll take the kids, she'll take half of his money very often. And the man is like, I could have focused this entire time on building this and she might have stayed. But then sometimes she divorces him too, even though he's focused on that stuff. Isn't that interesting? Doing everything you can just to appease her won't make her happy. It will make her resent you. Why though? He doesn't explain why. But I hope I kind of have explained that to you right now. It's like you're too much supply, bro. Like, become a bit scarce. Even though I have to suffer as a result of it, I need you to be scarce and not come home to me all the time and go out there and build. Although I know the vast majority of the time you're building, you're actually out there having fun. That's kind of what women think. While they're at home suffering with the kids, she thinks that I'm at work enjoying myself, which I kind of am. Like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, building business, I love it. I love working. So when I'm out there, I'm actually having fun. Although I'm being rejected all the time, I'm having fun. Guess who's not having fun? The one sitting at home being left behind, which is the opposite of a woman's nature, right? This is why so many women work, guys. Because they can't handle being left behind. When women are now allowed to be in the workforce, they're like, oh, finally, I can be a woman. Like, when women were homeschooling and stuck in the home alone by themselves and the kids, they were being men. They were trying to tap into their masculine potential of discipline, focus, trying to be a superwoman, blah, 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 blah. And now, very often, women are like, I'm never gonna have kids. Why do you think that is? It's because it gives them freedom. And freedom allows women to be feminine. You see how the world works? This is why feminism is there. So that women can try to tap into their feminine nature. Isn't that weird? Isn't that warped? Because the hardest job is being at home with kids, homeschooling. That's like the hardest female job in the world. Okay? It's harder than being the prime minister of a country. It's harder than, any job out there. Even artists, even actors. All of those people, their careers are nothing compared to a stay-at-home mom taking care of homeschool kids. And there are multiple of them. Like, one kid is 100% job. And it's actually more than that because it's 24/7. Especially in the early years when the kids don't sleep very well. And so you add number 2 and number 3, that's 300% job at the same time. And you're supposed to be doing this with other women, but women in monogamy can't do that with other women, so they're like by themselves trying to make things work and needing the man as a result continuously. And most people are not focused on money, which means that they're usually poor when they do this. And this guy, Brendan, who's awesome, but he teaches people to get married young when they don't have any money. Like, this just puts problems upon problems upon problems. It's expensive to have kids, especially in this day and age with inflationary pressures, etc. The fact that prices in stores and on products and diapers and all that stuff is going exponentially up. So, do we agree on a lot of things? Of course, but I'm just 10 years down the line, Brendan. Happiness is a byproduct of a well-lived and well-ordered life. Good luck if you're bringing in kids. The phrase is misconstrued so often. A woman has to be a happy individual before she enters a marriage, or else she and her husband will be miserable. it doesn't matter how happy a woman is before marriage. She'll be miserable in marriage anyway, because it's monogamy and she's going to end up being left behind. The happiest woman in a marriage could be a woman with one child, and she gives that child away to childcare and school, and she has a job, and she's almost never with her husband. So the time when she is with her husband, it's actually nice and cozy the vast majority of the time. 50% of the time, maybe 51%. Like, that's probably the happiest woman in a marriage. And she will believe, it'll be a deception, because she'll believe that that's how marriage is supposed to look like. And she actually has nothing to be ungrateful for. Like, she has nothing to complain about. So when people ask her, how are you doing? And how's marriage? And how's your husband? She's like, everything's great. And we have a wonderful, because she's also been taught by self-improvement that she's supposed to be happy and positive and upbeat about everything in her life, although her emotions might be telling her something different. So we never really see what actually goes on behind the four walls of her heart, because she keeps it as a secret, because that's what she's supposed to do as a good girl. But not many people are in that condition. There are women out there with 2 kids, 3 kids, 4 kids, 5 kids. There are women out there with a divorced man. There are women out there who are being, who have a husband, but maybe the husband drinks a lot, or maybe he, there's domestic abuse. There's women out there with, who are single, who've been left behind with kids. And then there are other women, who are also miserable single, who believe that being in a marriage might actually help them. But then, it's like the opposites are like, which one should I do? Because I'm unhappy no matter what, but in marriage, at least I have someone helping me with my bills, which is great. And I'm a little bit happier. So it's normal that women will choose commitment from a man rather than being single if she can find someone who is kind of at her level. You see how complicated this becomes? And it's not complicated at all. But it's the system that is in society today that makes it complicated. Where people are like, so many difficult decisions to make. It's not difficult. Like, if you understand 3 in Love, it's like, it's so simple. You're going to be happy the vast majority of the time, as long as the man does this, and this. The man is responsible for everything. The woman, you let go and surrender because you can, as long as there's harmony between you and your best friends in the home. That's your responsibility. Because you know that if you just let go and surrender, and the man actually applies the principles, and you don't have to do any thinking, your only job is to be loyal, to get along with the other women, and to work on your femininity and your beauty, which is something you do anyway as a woman. And then you have maybe 1 or 2 kids. And that's it. And you can enjoy your life and do whatever it is that you want to always for the rest of your life. And your income is going to exponentially increase over time, so that there's safety, so that there's, opportunity, there's talents, there's hobbies, there's stuff that you can do as a woman. And then the exponential growth curve causes you to be able to live fancier and fancier over time. What's not beautiful about that system? You get my drift? It's amazing. Happy wife, but not at the expense of my mental health, dignity, or manhood. So funny. As men. Okay, so that was happy life, happy wife. So this is these are the comments, but let's go to the last one. You don't need to be flawless to get married. A thread of self-healing and marriage. Turning over every stone in your life and reflecting on everything that has ever happened to you can be a fruitful exercise. It can also be a way to fetishize your own pain and victim narrative. Okay, personally, when I read this, I was just like, I just did not relate at all. I really feel that this is a feminine thread that Brendan had to go through himself, okay, so because men, we go through from femininity to masculinity. But I never felt that I never felt that I went through like real trauma and real burden from relationships, etc. Although I kind of did. I mean, I was broken up with, quadrillion times, it felt like. But it's like 4 times I've been broken up with since I was like 16 or something. And they always left me, and I just couldn't figure out why. Now I know why. I know very well why. But that's kind of what I feel about this one. So let's keep going. The pursuit of healing and improvement can easily become toxic. It gets to a point where you are just constantly reaffirming to yourself how unwell and not good enough you are. So healing, I guess as a woman, if you've had a lot of trauma and you feel extremely unhappy and you just feel you're unworthy, etc., yeah, maybe there is some healing that you feel you need to do. So what Brendan is saying is that you will find healing in a relationship. And my opinion is, yeah, prepare yourself and get ready for that healing, okay? I agree. The immense healing, the complete healing will happen in a relationship. And it's your past relationships very often, sometimes your parents, that have created this difficulty or this wound or this trauma. And it's your future man who's going to be able to solve this long term together with your 2 best friends and 3 in love. That's my understanding of it. Yes. In terms of not feeling good enough, okay, this is my thought when I went through this as well. It's like, I think this entire post is kind of irrelevant. And the reason why is because if you think about it, as a woman, if you're extremely turned on and attracted to a guy, like really, okay, he's done a good job on being a high value man. Are you going to be thinking about your past trauma and you're going to be scared about entering into a relationship? Like, no, you won't. Like, the only times a woman is going to be thinking about, oh, should I enter into this relationship? Should I not? Should I be independent for a longer period of time? Blah, blah, blah. Is if she doesn't have any options that are viable according to her standards. But if she finds a man who turns all of her buttons on, trust me, she'll jump on it. Okay, like, so in my opinion, there's no reason to even be thinking these thoughts at all. So whose responsibility is it really for a woman to enter into a relationship? It's 100% the man's responsibility. A woman doesn't even need to think about it other than, just learn a little bit if you are, become somewhat unburdened as much as possible if you can. And enjoy your life, as a single person. And then the completion of your healing will happen once you find a guy that turns you on. And that actually is applying the correct principles as taught on this channel, as an example. So you as a woman don't have to do a thing. You don't have to, once you find him. There won't be this, oh, should I enter a relationship? Should I not enter a relationship? You'll automatically be doing it. So, but we'll keep going. Self-help, self-love, self-healing, self-growth can all quickly make one a selfish and self-centered individual. Self-obsession does not heal. It makes one more sick. And I kind of agree. Like, you have to be other people focused. And that's kind of what men do when they put away women in the beginning, procrastinate them in order for them to serve lots and lots of people, for them to build up a strong financial foundation, and for them to also change. For them to become high value and develop massive self-confidence, etc., which will massively attract the women in the future. And then the women, let's keep going. In marriage, you get the opportunity to love and be loved despite your flaws and shortcomings. In this way, loving marriage is one of the best vehicles for personal growth and healing. Okay, for me, I think this is funny. In the beginning of a relationship, maybe, you get the opportunity to be loved and be loved, to love and be loved, despite your flaws or shortcomings. As the relationship progresses, and you guys know the story by now, maybe, wide open eyes, The woman has wide open eyes to a man's flaws and imperfections. They increase. She get Google eyes eventually over time about his flaws and shortcomings. Is that the best way for a man to heal? It's ridiculous. If anything, it creates a lot of wounds that needs to be healed and repaired, and then more wounds, and then healed and repaired, and then more wounds. And very often it goes according to her menstrual cycle. Oh my gosh. If you only knew. So, a loving marriage, wouldn't that be amazing? Yes. And the best marriages are like, you can get your best friend. That's the thing. Like, you can create a marriage. If you're going to choose monogamy, you can create it. It's okay. But you're going to just be best friends. Then you have the chance to never ever fight. That's the man's decision, pretty much. The woman will continuously fight no matter what. Like, you can't control that. The man can choose to not fight back and escalate. This is if they have the system of venting the way we teach it. But that's not really what they got into that marriage for. Like, best friends happen outside. You don't need best friends in marriage. Although it's nice to have a companion for life type thing that is your best friend, that knows everything about you and that is there for you despite your flaws and shortcomings. But wouldn't it be amazing if you could have peace and passion? So, and that's the thing that you just simply can't have. And people who tell you that you can, they're mistaken. Long term. It might work temporary, but not long term. Do what you need to do to get right with your past and make the conscious decision to get on with your life to the best of your ability. Taking responsibility for yourself and everything that you bring into a relationship with another person is a very important task. Well, hear my kids playing in the background. Yeah, taking responsibility as a woman, really? Yeah. If you're burdened, you're not going to do it. If you're unburdened, you have tons of capacity to take responsibility, and then it's valid. You're always going to be flawed, imperfect, and have things that you need to work on. And that's true. But the cool part is, what we need is a system where you can be in love all of the time, or at least 95% of the time. 3 in Love does exactly that for you. And I'm talking about in love. I know Masculine Revival is going to make another post soon about being, about love and infatuation. Okay? Which is interesting because we have a completely different view on it, obviously. But you can actually be in love. Butterflies. Feeling excited emotions. Oh, like the same stuff that you've had in new relationships that returns or that is continuous in a 3 in Love relationship. And if it's not, like, the man is doing a lot of weird stuff and is not actually applying the correct principles for how to be in in 3 in Love. Like, he's literally being a girl with the girls if she doesn't feel that for him. But very often, there's an automatic thing that happens when a man is around 3 women. Like, he kind of gets this, feels good about himself, and that is a good thing if it's a good guy. And if he's a good guy and he gets that kind of emotion towards his capabilities and his power, etc., then the woman can sense it. And this whole attraction process is actually automatic. It's insane how this works. Like, I'm so like flabbergasted every single time I think about it because of the way that it works. And no one knows about it. Ultimately, healing happens when you make a conscious decision to move onwards despite what's happened in the past. The past is a place you can occasionally revisit, but it isn't a place that you should permanently live, obviously. But guess what? As a woman, when you're burdened, this is what happens. And this is probably the last thing I'm going to say. As a woman, your goal is femininity. The entire Masculine Revival page is about women returning to their femininity. And yet, he's telling them to be disciplined a lot of the time. Although he's on his way, okay, he's saying that, like in the last video I made, he said men should take the brunt of the responsibility in the relationship. So he's on his way. Eventually, he'll get to the point where men take all of the responsibility in the relationship, and that allows a woman to be unburdened, aka feminine. So, when a woman is feminine, she's in the now. There's nothing more feminine than being in the now, just warped in the now, just enjoying the now, just experiencing the now. Wow. Okay, and there's all these books written on the subject, like be in the now, guys, blah, 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 blah. Like, yeah, that's wonderful, okay? It's completely for the emotions and feelings and all stuff, and I love it for women and for kids. But for men, like men need to be in the past, be in the future, and understand the present. It's masculine to have complete overview over every single aspect of life. As a woman, it would be amazing if you can lock and load into the present. Because then the past doesn't matter. You won't have the embarrassments, you won't have the failures, you won't have the breakups in your head, you won't have all of the crap that's happened to you. Like when you're in the now, all that stuff disappears. That's why women love being in the now so much. Right? But in general, women love being in the now. But it feels so much better when you've had a crappy past and then you're suddenly in an amazing now. Does that make sense? And then the future, okay, once the emotion goes a little bit down from the amazing emotion she had, then the future becomes bright as long as she knows she's going to experience all that stuff again and maybe even more intensely. Like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, it's going to be overflowing. This is how life was designed to live. As a feminine woman, to experience the now, have an environment where that's conducive for a woman to just literally surrender and let go completely. There is nothing to worry about or think about. She's literally born again every single second of every single day, allowed to immerse herself in relationships and in her health and in the needs of others and service and worshiping her man. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's how it was designed to be. This allows her to be in her feminine and to reach her ultimate feminine potential. So yeah, she shouldn't permanently live in the past. Should she occasionally revisit it? Well, if she's continuously in the now and enjoying the now, the revisiting back in the past, she's only going to think, like she's going to have a filter on that only focuses on the positive things of the past. It's a scarcity mindset that gets her to think about the failures of the past. If she has an abundance mindset in the now, she thinks about the abundance things of the past, if she ever does revisit it. But very often she'll be more focused on the future and the now. I don't know if you've noticed, but when people have dark voices or light voices, it's a very interesting thing. Because a light voice very often comes from having your, looking upwards and looking forward to the future. When you look down, it's because you're thinking a lot and you have problems to solve and you're looking at your phone and all that stuff, which causes women very often to get darker and deeper voices. That's fine, but it's not feminine. Like, do you get what I'm saying? It's a sign of burden. So a woman who's feminine, she's going to automatically look forward to the future and be excited. As a man, we are designed to have deep voices, which actually is also attractive to women, by the way. And we do that by focusing on problems, by putting our throats down, and by, that thing. It's amazing how this life is designed, okay? It's extremely simple. Everything is designed for men to be men, women to be women, men to be masculine, women to be feminine, and us moving towards that polar opposite direction for us to be flippin' happy all of the time. Oh my gosh. Okay, there's a big difference between getting ready to be in a relationship and actually being in one. Stop preparing, contemplating, and procrastinating. Putting your best foot forward and actually having the experience is where the growth happens. I don't know who needs to hear this, but you don't need to be perfectly healed and whole before you get into a relationship. And this goes back to what I was saying earlier, is if she's extremely hot for this guy she'll jump into the relationship. She doesn't even need to think about this stuff. So again, kind of irrelevant post, but it was relevant because I got to explain to you guys these aspects. So in terms of stop preparing, contemplating, and procrastinating, for a woman that has the help of her father and friends and family in selecting the right 3 in love guy for her, there is no preparing, contemplating, and procrastinating because she's got the hots for that guy. If she doesn't have the hots for that guy, it's the wrong guy. Do you get my drift? Like, a woman will have the hots for a guy eventually. And hopefully the family and friends are doing a great job in creating a very good short list of guys. Or the Men of High Value channel has a very good short list of guys, that makes women like, oh my gosh, I get to be with that guy. Like that type of emotion that women have when they watch TV series with hot guys on screen. Yeah, that type of emotion, that's what a woman should have when she's looking to get into a relationship. So that she can keep it, right? And she will be able to keep it in 3 in love. In monogamy, not so much, obviously. So it's kind of irrelevant to tell them to stop preparing, contemplating, and procrastinating. See my drift there? And when it comes to men, why on earth would you tell a guy to stop preparing and to tell him like to not procrastinate getting into a relationship? That's like the opposite thing of the Men of High Value movement. We're like all about preparation, procrastination of women and sex, and stay away from all that stuff and focus on building your foundation. A man who builds his foundation and becomes massively high value, that's the guy that women are going to have the hots for, and they won't resist getting into a relationship with him. In fact, they're going to have problems trying to stay away from him physically, and that's when he has to be able to say, no, not yet, not yet. Soon though, but not yet. And that's how the future of the Men of High Value movement is going to look like. So, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys learned a lot from it. Man, it's an hour again. It's amazing what comes out of these videos. But anyway, hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.